So welcome you guys. Welcome back, most of you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Chloe Ballatori, and I am a communication and relationship expert. I'm a graduate of Princeton University and Pat Allen's Want Institute. I have been doing this work for over a decade now, and I'm also over 20 years married myself. So everything I'm going to tell you, in addition to it being backed by scientific and psychological principles, I've also done myself. And that's actually how I found this work is over when I was at about the 10-year mark in my marriage, we started hitting some rocky spots. And I found this work and it changed my life. And I definitely think doing this work saved my marriage. So when I saw the power of it, not just with me, because I started out in a group like you guys, with Dr. Pat, my mentor. Um, when I started, okay, when I started out, I was really shocked at the results that I saw. And in fact, a lot of you guys know that, what I saw first were the results in a neighbor. I saw a huge transformation in a neighbor who had gone from being broke and single to getting married and having a very successful career. So when I saw that, I was really excited about checking out this work and doing it myself. If it is your first time here, don't despair, because sometimes if you don't understand stuff, it's still sinking in. When I first heard this work, it was really hard for me to wrap my mind around. And again, if I hadn't seen the result, I don't know if I would have really tried. But since I did see a great result and I felt a resonance when I first came to Dr. Pat, um, I was compelled to continue with it, and I'm so glad that I did. Okay, so what is this? What is this work? What are we talking about? Pat Allen created a protocol known as ASR, androgynous semantic realignment, and Eric Berne created a system known as transactional analysis, also known as TA. So I use tools from both of those modalities, and I also use tools that I've created myself because, again, I've been at this for a little while. We'll get into exactly what transactional analysis is and what androgynous semantic realignment is as I start answering people's questions. Basically, transactional analysis refers to the three ways to communicate. So Eric Berne postulated that there are three ways to communicate: either bullying with intimidation and fear, which is the masculine dystonic; manipulating or seducing with guilt and tears, which is the feminine dystonic; and negotiating with love, which is what I teach. Okay. Now, there's many more aspects to transactional analysis, but that's sort of just the basic framework. Now, um, androgynous semantic realignment. Androgynous semantic realignment is all about using language to bring your transactions, to bring your relationships into alignment. So, androgynous semantic realignment basically says that if I start with a feeling, my partner responds with a thought. And if I start with a thought, my partner responds with a feeling. You don't always have to do these things, but they really help. These tools are really, really crucial in conflicts and awkward situations. Um, so I always ask my clients, which is more important to you, to get your feelings cherished or to get your thoughts respected? Everybody wants both, but we have that protocol to navigate conflict. Okay. So, one of the when we're talking about relationships, one of the hallmarks of the most successful relationships are relationships that are balanced between feminine and masculine energy. And that brings, so in that scenario, the thoughts are masculine and the feelings are feminine. Okay. Um, Again, all of us are both masculine and feminine. And this is not really my work, but all the tools I teach are based on this. But this has been established already by ancient Chinese philosophy of yin and yang, the studies done by the Nobel Prize winning biologist Roger Sperry, who dissected the brains of newts. We know that all of us have a right side of the brain that is more feminine, that is passive, patient, vulnerable, that is the center of feelings, of creativity, of spirituality, of sexuality, sensuality, okay? Non-linear thought. And then we also have the left hemisphere of the brain, which is more single-minded. This is linear thought. This is logical thinking, competitive, conquering, controlling, taking care of, giving, nurturing, okay? Feminine's receiving, masculine's giving. Now, you can also call these things yin and yang. I don't want people to get hung up on, oh, well, she said feminine, but I'm a guy. Don't get hung up on that because it's really about energy. Now, often your energy does follow the organs that you were born with, but sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes I have clients who try both sides, being in the masculine, try being in the feminine, and see which one feels more authentic to them, because that's really what it's about. So that's what we look for when we are looking at dating, when we are looking at diffusing problems, is balancing these complementary energies. One of the things that throws us out of balance, perhaps the most significant thing, is if we've had any kind of childhood trauma, right? And a lot of us know today this wasn't as much common knowledge as it was as when I was a kid as it is now. But what happens between the ages of 0 to 12, which is Freud's work, what happens between the ages of 0 to 12 all those things have a greater valence or power impact on us because they happen during critical developmental windows. And so Freud said, that's basically who you are happens between 0 and 12, and then you spend the rest of your life trying to get over it. Now, we know since Freud's time that the brain actually can change, and we're not stuck in those patterns that we once thought were permanent. But that change is often painful. Even change for the better is painful because the brain rewires itself on pain, not pleasure. And if you think about it, that's always when we are most open to change, is when we've hit bottom or things are going wrong. That's when we have the most potential to turn things around. Okay. So I help people a lot understanding the effects of their childhood trauma, and often what happens from because often what happens from childhood trauma is we have to adopt coping strategies in order for us to remain attached to the people who own the refrigerator, right? But sometimes that's at the sacrifice of our authenticity. And so later in life, when we're still using those coping mechanisms, they end up not only recreating the unhappy scenarios of childhood, but sabotaging attempts to break out of those scenarios. So it really requires a lot of awareness to break these patterns. So I'll give it to Freud on that. It's not easy, but it is possible. And again, what we look for in our relationships and especially in our relationship with ourselves is that consciousness that comes from the balance of feminine and masculine energy. And that is how Carl Jung defines consciousness, is that balance between masculine and feminine energy. Okay, so My specialty is dating and relationships, but you can ask me questions really about anything because these tools travel anywhere. Um, they help with communication, they help with work situations, they help with family situations. So please feel free. This is my one free event that I do every week. And I love hearing from you guys and hearing your questions. And I also love hearing your updates. Um, that gives you, me, the rest of the group a sense of continuity. And so those are also really valuable. Um, yes, Sophia.
Yeah, thank you for holding this meeting. I was thinking about the dynamic of my first marriage. I'm almost divorced now, and I'm realizing that like I'm having this huge like almost like midlife crisis, but I'm not quite middle-aged yet, but
Quarter
like
life.
yeah, quarter life crisis where like I think do I really want to be married again? I don't like living with somebody. I don't like being told what temperature my house has to be, and, like, I don't like sharing a bed with somebody and having them kick me and steal my blankets all night and tell me what to do, and I don't know, like, if it's the difference between, like, I was married to a feminine man who wants me to, like, wait on him hand and foot, and basically, I was married to a narcissist, and it's really tainting my view of marriage, and, like, I'm honestly, like, I don't know if I wanna do it again. Do you know if you have, like, any advice for somebody who came out of a divorce to see, like, if a relationship is really for them or they're just hung up on, like, having a really bad marriage?
Well, right. I mean, you don't want to let the mistakes of the past ruin your future. So you had a bad marriage, you had a bad situation, you weren't happy with, so you changed it and now you're learning more things. But certainly it doesn't mean that all future partners will be narcissists. So you have to kind of check yourself, and not let yourself kind of spiral into, well, the whole endeavor of marriage isn't worth it. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I grew up in a household where my parents fought constantly, and I actually wasn't really interested in getting married because I didn't see any positive models of marriage. But then I met my husband, and the way that he treated me in, encouraged me and kind of compelled me to get married. I will say there's a lid for every pot. Ultimately, most people don't want to be alone. So you just want to be careful about extrapolating from that one relationship what's going to happen in the future. Now, I'm glad you brought up that he's narcissistic because that's what these tools specifically look to expose and bring awareness to. Because if like I said before, we all want our feelings cherished and we all want our thoughts respected. But if we come at somebody with both of those things at once, that's an act of narcissism. And so a narcissist is someone who's doing that all the time. They crowd out your voice completely, right? You don't have a say on your feelings. They're taking up all the feelings and all the thoughts. So a lot of times people resist and they don't want to say which one is more important, but it's so important to understand that that's how you achieve that supportive languaging with your partner. That's how you negotiate with love in a relationship, is by letting them have that either the thoughts or the feelings, right? And so you've already gone through an experience where you didn't have a voice, it sounds like. He was controlling and he wanted you to wait on him hand and foot. So you were like kind of stuck with the raw end of both. Um, so maybe it might take a little while for you desensitize, and maybe, you start off, not necessarily um thinking about dating, but making new friends, right? And just making sure it's not that you have to jump into a relationship right away, but I want to make sure that you don't get too isolated. So make sure, you need connection. you still need, one of the things pandemic showed us is that we really desperately need other people, even if they annoy the shit out of us, right? We still need people. Humans are not meant to exist alone in a vacuum. I mean, if you don't touch or talk to human babies, they do become psychopaths. So this stuff has been studied. And there's no shame in wanting to be in a relationship. That said, I completely understand that you're gun shy. So just make sure that you're going out, that you're meeting people, that you're making new friends. Now that you have this new rubric, now that you've met me, you have this group, you'll have a spot to run some of these things by people, me, um, if you have questions. And so you won't get into hopefully the same situation you did before. Or if you do, you'll be able to walk out of it more easily. Does that make sense? Oh,
Yeah, that it makes sense. I'm testing out the waters. I'm asking my married friends like what it's like, and it sounds like it's a lot different, but I'm like kind of burnt out emotionally with dating. Like sometimes like I go to a singles ward in my church, not because I'm like wanting to find somebody, but when people come up and talk to me, I'm like, oh, here we go
mhm,
again.
right.
But
Well,
then again, it's nice to get the attention.
yes. There's a price and a price tag for everything. Everything has an upside and a downside, right? Every catastrophe has a silver lining, and every success has a shadow. So, that's part of it, is just kind of understanding that in life, that, there's the game is great, but there's always a cost to playing the game.
Yeah.
And I think, that helps adjust your expectations a little bit, right? The other
Hmm.
thing is that you can practice in those situations. Practice some of these tools. I know you want to be in your feminine energy. So practice the listening, practice asking for help, practice leading with your feelings, practice what it means to respect a man who's worthy of respect. Um, and just doing those things, honestly, just taking steps to cherish your own feelings is going to start to change your energy. And that's kind of the beauty of this work, is that once you start doing it, you begin to have a catharsis or an epiphany. And while sometimes it's ecstatic, a lot of times there's also pain involved in it as well. But as you start doing that, you come closer to touching your authentic self. And once you touch your authentic self, you never want to lose it. And that's always my goal with my clients, is to get them there. So just try to use these opportunities at the church thing, because especially since it sounds like, you're not that interested in people, use it as practice, use it as practice just to pump up your feminine energy.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you for the advice. I've been taking notes. Otherwise,
Okay,
I
good.
forget all the time.
Good. Mm. And I put in the chat, you guys, I've written 3 books about this work. I'm now working on my 4th. So the first book, How to Live, is really the handbook about this work, and you can look in there and you can kind of like use that as a guide as you're trying to do this work and experimenting with things. Some of I also teach this work a few times a year, so that I put the link for my module packages in there. Probably won't be starting but this year, but pretty early in next year if you want to sign up for that. And then, of course, I also post to Instagram. There's my website. I have a lot of collateral on there. I've been quoted in a lot of magazines, appearances, etc. Okay. Kiara. Oops.
Hello?
Hi. Okay.
Hi. Okay, there we go. Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How can I help you?
Okay, so basically, um, I told you last week that my main like socialization right now is like the dog park,
Yes.
and I'm meeting a lot of people there. Like I've made associates there, made a couple friends, like girlfriends, like platonic friends and stuff like that.
Right.
And I haven't really started like, communicating with people too much. There's not anyone that's like caught my eye that I would, like you said, ask for help or ask, what kind of dog or
Right.
something like that. So I got back on dating sites and I told myself, oh, I would never go back again. But of course, I'm just like, what the heck? Like, I'm not
Right.
really going anywhere else. And then you get into that mode where you're just like, what if it can't happen for me on here because it's happened to someone else, So it's not going well. I have gone to one site, tried 2 months, nothing came out of it. So now I'm on another
You
site.
didn't even like meet anybody or anything?
Exactly.
Okay.
Nothing like that. Nothing. And this is like way different. Like, I'm in my late 20s, so I don't know if it's because I'm getting like older and people are just like not paying me attention anymore. But at least like when I did it before, I would like at least go on dates or whatever. Now it's just like it's hard to even getting matches. It's hard to get good, conversations rolling.
Mm-hmm.
The stock of people I feel like are going down as I get older. Um and the people who are single or older on there are not like, I would say a lot of people, not all, but a lot of people are like, it's just they're just not good
You're
stock. They're not
thinking
good
it's slim
candidates.
pickings, right?
Exactly. And I'm
So
not
wait,
saying
which one are you on? Because
yeah, so first I was on Bumble.
okay.
And then I got banned from Hinge because I kept deleting it, and I every time I would like delete it, I would like put fake pictures because I didn't want my pictures up there. So they deleted me for having a fake profile. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
banned from Hinge. So I'm on Tinder now, which I know is a lot like the supposed to be like the hookup site.
Yeah.
But I know a couple of people that have like gotten serious relationships out of there, and I've actually had
Okay.
success there years ago, like, dating someone. So that's pretty much how I ended up back on there.
Okay.
And so yeah. So fast forward, my question really is it's just like I feel like since I've been on, I've been more, what's the word? Like I've been more discouraged you know, than when
Yeah.
I wasn't on, because, like I'm seeing how what's out there, even though it's just what's out there on a dating site, but I'm
Yeah.
still seeing what's out there in a way. And I'm even seeing people I've seen from years ago on the site, like, oh my God, we're both here still.
Right.
And for real, a few people. And then so I'm just like more discouraged. So when you talk about cherishing your feelings, which is, I want to be in the feminine energy,
Yeah.
I'm like, should I cherish my feelings and not be on the dating sites anymore because it doesn't feel good? But then
Right.
my masculine brain is going, well, you're only going to the dog park right now. You're not working right now because I'm on disability, TMI, but I'm not working right now. I have a job, but I'm just not.
Right.
And even at my job, it's I didn't meet anyone or haven't met anyone. Um, so, I'm looking at the statistics. Me and my friend are talking about it. We're seeing that people meet through mutual friends, or they meet through, like someone from their past, or online dating it's not even that high up as I thought. But anyways, I'm just really discouraged right now. And I'm kind of like, what should I do about the
Right.
pull? Like, where do I go at this point?
Okay. So a couple things. So usually, just FYI for you guys, like in my experience, the top apps are Bumble, Hinge, and Match in terms of like what my clients use and what is successful for them.
Okay.
But that said, I mean, sometimes the online stuff can get really like mind numbing and really discouraging because
Yeah.
You're dealing with an algorithm, you're checking boxes. In general, humans aren't the best at predicting what's going to make them happy. And so it does tend to be a lot of energy
Yes.
for low return. And so if
Yes.
you're only going to do, I mean, even a matchmaker is better than an algorithm, really. You know, a matchmaker's human. So if you're gonna just do one thing, amp up your in-person things. You know, so
Okay.
just going to the dog park now, maybe pick a couple other spots to hit, you know. Maybe you know, there's something else you can do in person, or just get out more. Maybe there's a coffee shop you can go to. Try
Right.
out more a little bit in person. And again, that is going to be easier for you in person to amp up your femininity than it is
Yeah.
going to be on an app, you know?
Yeah. And I don't know what you think, but like your opinion, obviously I'm not, I'll make, you know, decision for myself, but like, would you recommend cherishing my feelings in the situation and not being on the apps? Because it's making me feel so burnt
Yeah,
out and
take a
depleted.
break.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Take a break.
Yeah.
Take a break.
Okay.
You know, I mean, right, of course only you can decide that, but yeah, you're not alone. And in fact,
Yeah.
I mean, Lee's raising his hand. I know Lee had the same experience and stopped on the apps altogether for, I don't know, over a year. Right, Lee?
Oh yeah.
Is that what you were going to say?
No, hi there. No, I don't. I have not been on the dating apps. I was on eHarmony for a little while, but no, that I just raised my hand when it's my turn to share.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I just
And
remember you had that similar experience.
and I took a break for a long time. I haven't been on, and I guess in a year. Or maybe a little less than a year, but I hadn't been on in a while, and that was like my thing. I was always on them. And then I said I would never go on again. And then I dated someone that was like a mutual friend. Well, they were my mom's best friend's son. I know him for years. But yeah, so anyway, so that was like my last dating experience. That happened. And then since then, which it was ended in March. Since then, it's been like focus on myself because I'm on disability, and then focusing on now getting back on there. And it's like, so another thing you said was about something else. So I'm starting to get back, into life, I guess. So I am going to be doing something in person. I'm doing like an acting class, and that's coming up in
Oh,
November.
that's going to be good.
Thank you. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I think that like my energy is just really bad right now because not bad, but my energy is like feeling really, I'm not optimistic about it because of how the dating apps are making me feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the best thing right now is like you said, to just, pick another spot, continue to do things in person, and just cherish my feelings right now, not being on the dating site.
The side effect of cherishing your feelings is going to be shifting your energy. So you may find that you are meeting new and different people just from that alone. It's not all scientific. Well, if I hammer all these apps for as long as possible, then I'll get, it's not always like that. There's a lot of magic involved. So yeah, if you're not feeling it, take a break. Then you can always go back and you can supplement. But I don't like people only doing the apps.
Yeah, and it taking so much energy out of you where you're like, okay, am I focusing on practicing other stuff in real life, or am I just like putting all my energy and then being depleted, like you said, with no return?
Right.
Yeah. It's like, so anyways, I'll let someone else go. That was very helpful. I really appreciate it.
Okay, you're welcome. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing, because when you're on the apps too, it's like once you do finally match with someone, then you've got to get into them, then you're chatting for a while, then you got to move it off the app. So
exactly.
Tend to be more time consuming.
Yeah. Can I say one more thing, Chloe?
Yes.
The other thing too is just like, I guess like in a way I kind of I become resentful, to be honest with you. And I don't know if other people can relate to this, because I see other people getting on the app and finding their person they've been with for like I have known someone that's been on Tinder. They went on literally the next day after they broke up with somebody, and they're like, oh, I just want to hook up. But then the person they went with end up being someone they've been with now for 4 years. And
Right.
I see other people, like, it seems so easy for other people sometimes. I resent, like, oh my God, I have to do all this work. But I, like, like we were saying last week, like, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I mean,
I
there's
get
no
that.
real comparison, you never can see somebody's whole picture. You don't know if that relationship's going to work out. You don't know if you'd be happy with that person. You don't know if your standards are different. There's so many variables that to compare your situation,
Yeah.
it's not acknowledging the HP,
What's that?
the higher
Sorry.
power. Weren't you in an
Oh, yeah.
addiction program? That's why I brought that up, because I thought
Yeah. I didn't know I didn't know what H. Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, and
HP, yeah, higher power, yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah. I totally agree with that. And that's why I feel like my energy has just been effed up since these apps. And I've been feeling, like you said, like it's not a machine, like there's more to it, because I'm like, okay, if I go through everything and then it keeps saying go global, and I'm like, oh God, I've gone through everybody in the all of California. Like I can't do any more, than that.
I mean,
So,
the only other
anyways.
thing I would say is that, it's also normal to be discouraged, and there's going to be discouraging moments, even if you're in a relationship. And so
Yeah.
try not to extrapolate too much from those moments. Like in those moments, don't start drawing big conclusions,
That's kind of how I've been doing. I'm like, I've been getting very like, ooh, like this is just not gonna happen for you. But I know when it's like that, then maybe I do need to like change my because I was not feeling this discouraged until I got back on the apps. Yeah, so yeah, it's definitely time for me to like change up the route here.
Yeah,
But
and do
anyways,
something that you're gonna like anyways,
is exactly like doing things that are like-minded, that other
Yeah, like
people
going on a
enjoy.
hike with Sierra Club, or something, something, again, to amp up, something you'll enjoy, something that will make you feel good.
Yeah. And do you have any tips for like meeting, if I do like for the acting class, like being in the feminine energy, meeting new people, if someone does catch my eye, or something
Yeah, give
opening
them the eye
doors?
contact and the smile, see if it's reciprocated. The great thing about the acting class is you guys are going to be trying, improv is also really good for meeting people, because
Yeah, it's improv actually.
Oh, that's great,
Yeah,
because then you're
I
going
just
to
called it
be,
acting.
yeah, you're going to be like bonding, you're going to be feeling close, that forces you to be vulnerable and also make decisions. So I think some things are, I think some sparks could fly from that for sure.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for the encouragement.
You're welcome. I look forward to hearing how that goes.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, Lee.
Okay, hi there. You hear me?
Hi.
Hey, I just have an update for you.
Yes.
And also wanted to comment on last week's meeting. I'm sorry I missed it. But I did get to listen to it over YouTube. And so I wanted to touch on that, but I also wanted to update you on a few things. So
Okay.
first, I think the first and the fastest thing is last week's meeting. I wanted to commend you, Chloe. I think you handled it very well. There was Brett was expressing some frustrations that he had. I think his name was Brett.
Yeah.
And he's not here tonight, but I hope maybe he'll listen and find this recording and it'll help him. I just wanted to lift him up and tell him I know how he feels, and that he had said he kept saying that Yang is tired, and there was discussion about dystonics and going in circles, and I just wanted to encourage him to take a break from dating, and that if he can practice discernment as he meets these people as the man, I wanted to encourage him to say, you know what, if either a woman says yes or she says no, and in an ambivalent manner, and if she's ambivalent, I was just going to tell him just to avoid those prospects. There are wonderful women out there, and if he can develop the discernment when he's got a train wreck, when he's got, to just move on as soon as possible was
Right.
what I
Good
did want
advice.
to preface that I am not a psychotherapist. I did not study at Princeton. I am not a relationship coach, but I have a lot of years being single, my entire life as a single man.
Yeah, you're a good person to advise because you've kind of been in that same spot and come out the other side.
Yes, and I wish I was there last week. I'm sorry I wasn't there to lift him up, but
No
I
worries.
know what the frustration is, and I just wanted to tell him, you'll get really good at qualifying a woman before, even possibly before the first date, or at least certainly after one date. It's very telling.
Yeah.
So
It's not a painless process, but
it is not, but he can enhance his power of observation.
Mm-hmm.
And he needs to know what he wants in a woman and what he will and will not stand for. And he needs to, and it really, and it will come with time. So, but he's not, my hope is he'll hear this and that it helps him, and that, because I know the frustration that he's going through.
Okay. So what's your question for me?
So my update. So it was a couple of weeks ago, I had a date with a gal. She qualified for the first date because we'd met 3 times at karaoke, and she smiled and was flirtatious and fun. We went out on this date. And
is this a brand new person that you haven't mentioned before?
This was a person that I've met in the karaoke groups.
Okay.
I don't think I've mentioned her.
Okay.
But we met for drinks and a bite to eat. And after about an hour and a half, it felt like I was carrying the most heavy luggage on my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
It was unbearable. It was like brick wall. It was like, and so she wanted to go. I mean, the plan was to go sing some karaoke, but then she didn't want to do that for some reason. And so I quickly waned interest very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to excuse myself at the end of the date and just said, good luck, thank you, but I don't think this is working. And so it didn't go well. But I mean, nothing negative, nothing bad happened in terms of, being around her, but it just didn't go downhill. But however, the next week I went to another karaoke venue, and you may recall me sharing one of my previous dates with, I dubbed the woman.
Yes.
Her name is Trainwreck is what
yes.
I've dubbed this one gal Trainwreck, who spent 8 weeks of texting, and then we went out and she got drunk on me.
Right. She got wasted on the date.
She got wasted, and I just decided I wasn't going to fool with that. Well, I went to another karaoke event, and I was there by myself. I did see a couple of friends, but guess who lumbers up to me? It was Trainwreck.
Yeah.
She was there, and she had this silly, awkward smile, like, she was wanting to be geeky in a geeky way, kind of smiling. And I was like, oh, hi. I didn't use the word Trainwreck. I called her by her name, but I said, oh, hi, Trainwreck.
Right.
And she and I just waved and acknowledged her in a nice way. And I turned and walked away, and talked to a few more people. And a few days ago, she text messages me and said how happy she was to see me singing at karaoke, and that every time she sees me, it makes her smile. It was extremely nice.
Wow, that's so sweet. She likes you. She's got problems, but she likes you.
She's got problems, but she likes me. And I for other various reasons, I really needed that shot in the arm. But I don't know. I said, well, maybe I'll see you again sometime. But
okay.
But the point is, what I really wanted to share with you to close this is one of your recent YouTube short videos was talking about 60 to 70% of the qualities
Right. If you get
You know,
60 or 70% of what you want out of in a relationship, you're like ahead of the game.
absolutely. So what I wanted to share with you is what that inspired me to do was um, there are about 26 qualities, 26, I have them listed, qualities that I find very attractive and hopeful in a person. And so what I did was I took a calculator and I said, well, I'm not going to have any list them necessarily as deal breakers, but you know, I said if I could just get say 60 to 70% of those qualities. So I took some of these people I've met
Mm-hmm.
over the last few months and also over the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
12 years ago, I was engaged to be married. I listed her. There was a young lady I met a few years ago on eHarmony. I listed her. There was a gal I met 20 years ago who I dated off and on for 10 years. I listed her. And I honestly I ranked these qualities and to see what the percentile would be. I was blown away. The woman I was engaged to had 85% of them.
So
And
why didn't that work out? What
and the
happened
girl,
there?
and the girl from eHarmony had 88%. And the girl I met 20 years ago had 77%. But the people I've been meeting recently, 56%, 50, less than 50, mostly less. Most of these people are like 40.
Right.
40,
We have to get them
55%.
over 50%.
And so, right. I'm trying to get to 60 to 70.
Okay.
But the thing that's so great about this, Chloe, is by looking back on the past relationships that didn't work, it's showing me how to find the value in these. It's showing me that these diamonds in the rough do exist.
Yeah.
And, you know, and to know them when they show up. And so it's, I feel it breaks my heart that I lost a couple of really great ladies. The reasons are complicated to explain,
Okay.
but and personal, but it's helping me to see the value in these relationships as I get to know people. And I will say this, time, I don't care how short of a window she has. There's no greater window than time itself. That, this whole speed dating is a joke. Come on, there's the probabilities of a magic spark from a speed date are so slim.
Mm.
Nothing beats long-term knowing someone for a year, then asking them out or getting to know them, because most of these people I knew for a more time. I mean, it varies, but the qualities emerge as time passes. And by seeing the data, just looking at the data, it helps me, Chloe. It really did. That if I can get
Good.
70%, it gives me a lot of hope.
Well, I
That
also want to reflect back to you a couple things from what you've shared. First of all, like I really see you amping up your masculinity because a woman reached out to you and said your presence makes her feel good. Okay. That's a success for you. And asking these girls out, even if it doesn't go well, is a success for you. Right. That was partly what I was trying to explain to
Yeah.
Brett. And analyzing this stuff is also, right? That's something you did. It's something mental. It's something masculine. That's another success for you. So you may not see, you may not have met your exact person yet, but you're building wins. So I want you to celebrate those wins too, right? Because we can't control if somebody's going to say yes or no or whatever.
You
But
can't. But it's
the reward is
sorry.
I
Go
was
ahead.
just going to say, I want you to reward yourself for trying because that's the victory.
It is. And I don't know why I didn't think to take this list of 26 qualities. And you know what I was doing before? If it hadn't been for you, Chloe, I wouldn't have figured it out. What I was doing is I took the 26 qualities and I said, well, what are my top 10 qualities? But the truth is, what I should have done is taken the 26 qualities and said, let me get 60 to 70% of those qualities.
Well, now you know. I mean, people
And
aren't born knowing this.
I literally took a spreadsheet and I did the math and I'm like, wow. These now I see why those relationships felt so good and lasted so long.
Mhm.
You know, because we're talking two women above 85%.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. And but I had to learn this.
Yeah.
Hard, you know, I had to learn it. I've had to deal with the grief of losing a really good person because I didn't have the courage. I wasn't able to be the provider at the
Well,
time. Couldn't give her what she wanted, you know.
yeah.
And I was wrestling with my own
Yeah,
hearing.
well, we're all, you know, flawed
So,
human beings. I mean,
sorry, it's been
it's
lots of other
fine.
things going
I
on.
just want to, I just
Pass to the
want
next person. I think Sophia has her hand raised, but thank you so much. Listen, it really has helped me to see the value of a person. I can walk into any nightclub now or any social setting, and I'm just going to tell you the first 5 minutes, the first hour is bullshit. It's a sniff test,
to,
and there's
right.
no reason to be nervous or anxious or anything. A first hour is a joke. You should give a year a try or 10 years because that's where the magic is.
Well, I just want to make sure that you're giving yourself credit because, you know, I know you're frustrated, things, you know, time gone by, missed opportunities, but some people don't even get it until their deathbed, and some people not even then. So you're ahead of the game. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I love you guys and
You're welcome. Thank you
appreciate you.
for
Thank you.
sharing.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, Sophia. Where are you? There you are.
Hey, so I was listening to what everybody has had to say. I really related to what Kiara said about dating apps. I deleted my dating apps like 2 years ago because I just realized like I'm not gonna get what I'm looking for on there. And in person too, like honestly, in person too, I like found out that like I don't know, like good men just disappear. I don't know what happened. And like I really relate to like the older you get, the less seemingly like good men are out there. And like I've been feeling this way honestly since I was like 21. Oh my gosh, I need to hurry up and get married. Well, I got married to the wrong guy. And now I'm
Yeah, I mean, I
24.
don't know if that's necessarily true. I think that when you're younger, there's a different energy. Everybody has more energy, right? And
Yeah.
everybody's kind of like got that excitement of new experiences. And so there can be more activity when you're younger. But I don't know that there's necessarily, if you miss your chance when you're younger, you know what I mean? I
Mhm.
know I have actually a number of clients. I've been thinking about this recently because I have a number of clients who were the girls that always had a boyfriend, but somehow have gotten to 40 or 50 without anybody permanent, or not, nobody's
Mm.
permanent. I mean, every relationship ends, um, you know, either with death or divorce or something. But you know, they're like, what's happening? I always had a boyfriend and now I'm gonna miss my window to have kids because it's just not lining up. So you know, again, be mindful of extrapolating too many doom scenarios. But go ahead. Did you have another question?
Oh yeah, I was kind of trying to like man, I'm learning how to navigate my fear of missing out. Like I do have one kid, but I've always pictured myself having like a big family, and now I'm kind of like questioning now. I don't want five, you know, like that was originally my plan, but I want at least two.
Okay.
And I'm only 24, but I do know that sometimes like what I'm looking for maybe genuinely good men. I don't know. I feel like when you're getting older, like I think the men get better sometimes.
Yeah,
But
I mean, sometimes you need somebody who's been through some stuff, you know?
yeah, like I don't want a party animal. I want a stable man
Exactly.
who will be willing to be a stepfather and potentially want to
You
have
are so young. You
mm,
really are. I mean, 24 is really young. And I just want to reflect that to you because, you know, I actually have clients starting from teenage to women in their 80s. So I have a huge
wow,
range. But
80s. Oh my gosh.
I
Okay,
know,
I
isn't
don't
it crazy?
worry
I have
about this when
had
I'm
a
80.
huge success story with a woman who just turned 80. And she's in the best relationship she's ever been in. Because if you do this work, you keep leveling up.
Yeah.
So, don't get too bogged down by statistics or whatnot. You're finding this work really early. A lot of people don't find me as young as you are. Some people younger, but I think there's every reason to be optimistic. And like I've said before, even if in your dark moments you can't be optimistic, at least you can acknowledge you don't know what's going to happen because everything's not under your control. You can't see everything, right? There's
Yeah.
that higher power thing again. 20
Yeah.
no, 28's not getting up there, Kiara. That is no.
Yeah, I just I have to remind myself of the negative voice. Like my mother said this, like my mother was divorced when she was, I don't know, she was younger than 31. She got married when she was 31 to my father, and she always used to say this when I was growing up, like the older you get, the less options. And I was like, oh my gosh, like even when I was like 19, I was like, everybody's like popping around getting engaged and stuff. And like, I don't know if that's just the area that I was living in or whatever, but
Yeah, do you
it's
come
just
from a
hard to
smaller town? What's your
no, I lived in Colorado Springs and I went to a college, the Air Force Academy. So like everybody was from like
Oh, right. In
everywhere.
the military, people get married very young.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of that's what's called the epi-scripting, and we talk more about this in my module classes. But the scripting are the survival conclusions that you have that are based on your childhood trauma and your childhood coping mechanisms. And then there's the epi-scripting, which are the messages from society and from other kind of people, the culture. And some of those epi-scripting messages are sometimes even more tenacious than your personal scripting because they seem to be accepted as truths by people around you. So, you're good. You don't have to, you're not running out of opportunities.
Yeah, I just have to remind myself that like stop the gas pedal. You don't need to jump into another marriage. Let's get your divorce decree first. And like I'm just like I'm happy being single. I've discovered myself in like ways that like I would have never if I had to like entertain a man.
Right. So good. So use this time, use this, sometimes we can get a man to cherish our feelings first, but sometimes we got to cherish our feelings for ourselves, even in a
Mhm.
relationship. So use this time to do that. And yeah, I wouldn't, again, a lot of things aren't under our control. You can just put your best foot forward and then hope for the best. That's all we can do,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why it's important to understand that there's that higher power. Kiara.
Yeah, I wanted to ask your opinion on some advice that I've gotten from people would be like, "Oh, do nothing, like don't try at all. Just just kind of let it happen." What is your take on the whole do nothing approach, or just I guess focus on yourself is one thing, but they'll say like don't try dating apps, don't try to, you know, go and join this or that.
I
Just
think
like
that's really bad advice.
okay.
I mean, we had somebody who was here who was like, yeah, I want to meet somebody, but he was like literally doing nothing. He was just like being in his garden, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like nobody's going to know that, John in his garden wants to meet somebody.
I guess I'm kind of like still need to. I probably need to stop comparing because I had a friend who same freaking thing. Another friend who literally was like F love all this stuff, and then next thing you know, she's in a relationship. She literally didn't do anything, and I'm like, how? Why? Why is it always so
Well,
easy for some people?
right. I mean, again, just cherishing your feelings and doing some of these things changes your energy. And when you change your energy, sometimes you'll notice certain things falling into place and other things falling away. So
That's true.
nothing's ever a waste. So the more you can bring yourself into balance and pump up your femininity and do things, even if you don't meet somebody, that's still sending that message out to the universe. That's still sending out that energy that I'm ready to meet somebody. I'm available.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Wendy, last one.
Hi, yeah.
Hi, Wendy.
I just wanted to ask again about if someone stops communicating, do I always, under all circumstances, just be quiet if I was the last one to say something and he hasn't responded? This is on the apps. Do I always just shut up and just wait?
What I say is he's got 8 weeks. Has it been 8 weeks?
No.
Okay, so let's wait 8 weeks and see what happens. Why do I say 8 weeks? Because 8 weeks is the rumination period that people average of rumination between the heart and the head. And I think it was late. We've had examples of the 8 weeks really showing up strongly. So he may be ruminating whether or not he wants to respond. So let's give him 8 weeks. If he doesn't respond after 8 weeks, I'll help you with crafting something if you still want to reach out to him. Okay?
Okay, quick question about that. I mean, to me, like we train people how to treat us. I don't quite understand. I mean, I'm willing to do it. I just don't quite understand. To me, that seems like very disrespectful. Regardless of how long it supposedly takes. I mean, you just don't do that to anyone.
What, 8 weeks? But you guys are just on a dating app. You're not even in a relationship yet,
Yeah, but I mean, it was left open, like, maybe we'll meet. And I mean, it's just rude to leave a conversation without, hey, it was lovely to meet you, I think we're not the right match. I always say that. I never just leave someone
Right.
hanging. So if I set that precedence with someone where I'm willing to take them back after 8 weeks, isn't that kind of like training someone to treat you poorly?
Well, nobody said you didn't have him in the first place, so there's no taking him back. You guys are just talking. So he's not obligated. There's no obligation. Now, the fact that he didn't respond quickly, that could be a sign that maybe he's not so quick with the responses. Maybe there is something there. I don't know. But at this point, he's just a stranger on an app, right? You haven't even met in person. So, we can't really have too many expectations. I mean,
Well, he suggested that we do.
okay, well, let's just wait and see if he pulls it together or not. It's not like
Yeah.
if he takes his time, that's okay. But yeah, after a certain amount of time, it's too long. That's why 8 weeks is a period of time that's literally been studied by psychologists. Here, I'll put it in the chat. In a book called, it's called Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. And he goes into why that is, but basically that has been the studied period of time between the heart and the head for rumination.
Wait, what do you say, Lee? 8 weeks to the day?
8 weeks for him to ruminate between his heart and his head.
No, I was looking at what Lee wrote.
Oh, what did Lee write? It was 8 weeks to the day that I got the text from the train wreck about setting up the first date. Yes, I remember. That was what it was.
Yeah, but she's not treating you well.
Well, it's very early days.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Did you have another quick question, Kiara, or are you good?
No, sorry.
Okay. Did you have a quick question, Lee? Because I'm going to wrap it up.
Yes, very quick. It's time to
Okay.
wrap up. I was just trying to clarify the situation that had happened with, I'll just use train wreck. What happened was I met this lady, this gal, at a karaoke event. And she immediately, the smile exchange thing happened, the glance and smile. And that was she wouldn't go away after that. She wanted my number. We traded numbers. And for 8 weeks we texted, and it was 8 weeks to the day. I kept trying to get a date. Let's do it. She was ruminating for 8 weeks via text, no phone calls, 8 weeks to the day before she said, let's go out this way. And I was able to confirm a date after 8 weeks of texting. So there's something true to that. That's all I was trying to clarify.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
women's
Yeah.
sake.
I've seen it happen so many times.
She was
So many
ruminating, not
times.
me. I was ready way before that, but it just took her 8 weeks before she turned around.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Lee. Okay, you guys. I'm going to wrap it up now. I will put in the chat one more time my credentials so that if you guys if you have a need during the week or whatever, you can reach out to me, ask a quick question. If I can answer it, I will. If not, we can set up a session. I work with men, I work with women, I work with couples, I work with teenagers. You can also sign up for the module packages. I'm going to do a few more meetups this year, basically up until Thanksgiving. Then I'm going to take a break. But like I said, those are the ways that you guys can reach out to me, and I do my best to be available to my clients when they need. So, because that tends to be the most efficient, both economically and energetically, effort-wise. Okay, I will, thanks for coming, and I will see you guys soon. Oh, where can we watch these meetings? Okay, so all of these are being recorded. You can find them on YouTube. So my YouTube is here. It's Chloe Ballatori 7702, but you could probably just search my name. And then also on wherever you get your podcasts, you can search for that. But I also put the link for Apple Podcasts. But wherever you get the podcasts, you can find Chloe with Love. And then you can always, if you're ever like, where do I find this or that? Usually everything is on my website, and my IG has a lot of resources as well. So my website, Chloe's Consciousness Training.squarespace.com, and my IG is Chloe's_consciousness_training. Okay. I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Have a good night.